And I'm fortunate enough to have a very welcoming and massive community that is incredibly active. A community that has not taken a major hit in these recent Twitch bot crackdowns. That's right. We're going to do a little bit of Twitch drama as well. Hold on. Charlie did a video on botting. Yeah. So, by the way, what's really interesting about the botting drama and botting back and forth, which we will obviously talk about right now because it's a big story on the platform. And I used to do more like platform related stories, and I'm going to do that, obviously. A big part of that conversation, a big part of that back and forth is really interesting to have on Twitch because, like, I didn't think that I will admit, I thought most of the Twitch viewership is organic. I did not, when XQC was like going after Kai Cenat and other like people within Kai Cenat's orbit, I did not think that he was right. I didn't know. I didn't know enough, right? I didn't look into it at all. And I don't even know if he, I'm not even saying like he was botting or anything. I'm not saying that at all. But there is always been this consistent conversation that Trainwreck and XUC were always fucking pushing, saying like everybody's botting, all the big streamers are botting. They never really said I was doing it, so you know. But I just always assumed that they were saying that I was doing it as well because they don't really like me. But I guess it's dead internet theory through and through in some ways. I just, because like a lot of people kept saying this. And I will admit, maybe I've been too fucking focused on like what's going on in the world and like all of these news that's happening that I just like haven't really paid a lot of attention to that back and forth. I just like kind of saw it in the periphery. He said specifically yesterday, you don't. Yeah, I don't. XUC knows. Like he explicitly said you don't bot. Yeah, I always assumed. I always personally assumed that they were like trying to say I was doing it or something because like they don't fuck with me, you know? But yeah, I saw this big thing. Now, we're having this conversation about Twitch, right? We're having this conversation about Twitch, like, oh, Twitch is botting, all their top streamers are botting and all this stuff, right? And what's interesting about it, people who hate watch you DM the chatters here that you are view botting. I've received several messages like that in the past. Yeah, I mean, people are fucking really insane. My haters are bots themselves. But so what is really interesting about this is that like every other platform does it in, I think, much worse ways. That's part of the reason why I never thought that Twitch was like even botting at all. Like I never thought that like there were people who were using view bots or some kind of like artificial boost of your viewer count. Okay. And the reason why I say that, the reason why I say that is because like all of the other platforms have such enormous view counts. If you recall going back to the Rumble conversation, like Rumble, Kick, their viewership is completely insane. You know what I mean? Their viewership was like so untenable, so unimaginable. Like Dan Bongino is like 100K streamer. You know what I mean? Like that's not real. That's just simply not real. If that was the case, he would be like the iShow speed for everyone over the age of like 40 that spends time online. You know what I mean? Like it's just not like he would get mobbed everywhere he goes. Like that's not the type of person Dan Bongino is. I wouldn't even go so far as to say, like, even though he's a nationally prominent political figure, I don't think he's like as well known as someone like myself even. And he's the fucking deputy director of the FBI and also was on like, you know, NRA TV and even Fox News. I stand by that. I don't think that he is like, if there was an adequate way to measure Q ratings like people used to do, I'm, you know, aging myself here. That's like a thing that people used to do, like a Q rating, a Q score to figure out like how famous someone is. Like, I don't think Dan Bongino has more motion than I do in general. Of course, it's very difficult to measure that sort of thing now with the way the internet works. Because like you can have just like a TikToker with the most loyal designated fandom and you just never heard of them, but they have like a diehard group of Fedayeen that will die for this TikToker, you know? So basically, as I was saying, because there were bots so heavily, so prominent in other websites, I just genuinely didn't think that Twitch had that big of a botting problem. And I did place a lot of emphasis on like the culture shifting dramatically on this platform by looking at view counts. It's something that I have to admit. Asmongold having 50K to 60K viewers every day made me think that organically there was a lot more right-wingers on this website than I ever previously thought there were, because he's right-wing. He's right-wing. He's a right-wing content creator. And his YouTube does incredible numbers. You know, he's getting millions and millions of views. And it made me think, by looking at those metrics, it made me think maybe I placed too much emphasis on that. It made me think that a lot of these platforms are becoming more and more right-wing. But it turns out that his viewer count actually was maybe a little boosted. And this isn't to say like he was doing it deliberately to himself. Okay. I'm not saying that at all, because like someone else can basically artificially boost your view count. Someone else can bot your page. This has happened to me before as well. And for the past 2 days, Asmongold has had, around the same viewership that I have. And it seems like there was that additional, like he went from 40K to 50K, sometimes 60K to like 25 to 35K range that I've been at. So I think like, once Twitch said that they were going to crack down on the bots, all of a sudden a bunch of people saw big cuts in their viewership. XQC reports Twitch has cracked down on bots in the 2-3 days, and viewbotters and victims of viewbotting have been exposed. Streamers that are parts of groups/orgs are seemingly being botted much more heavily. I don't want to start witch hunts, but the data is interesting. Go see for yourself. TwitchTracker.com. You can click on any streamer you want and then tap streams. From there, I would compare 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of August performance and match it against usual performance. It gives a good idea of what's happening. This motherfucker, when it comes to this sort of stuff, literally turns into a human. I don't know how he became like a tech reporter all of a sudden. This is like so well written and so coherent. How did this happen? This guy that eats his fucking toenails on camera and goes every day, when it comes down to like industry specific shit, he's so fucking locked in. Like he turns into like a real adult who is like a tech reporter or something. Zach Boosie ass motherfucker all of a sudden. He got free school in Quebec. That's how. I just don't understand how this dude turned into a coherent demon all of a sudden when we're talking about bots. When we're talking about like who's botting what, how are they botting, all this shit. It's not AI. XQC's always been coherent on Twitter. Back in the day, you'd say he's actually smart. Yeah, but I think his brain capacity eroded over the last like 3-4 years as well. You know, there's only so much book you can do until it fucking rips your spinal cord apart a little bit. So TwitchTracker.com, you can click on any streamer you want and then tap streams. From there, we'll compare 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of August's performance and match it against usual performance. It gives a good idea of what's happening. I've been thinking, why orgs would bot heavily? Then the answer seemed almost obvious. Talent agencies receive a percentage from ad streams that talent does. By inflating their streamers, they can sell massive ad packages in bulk and take in much higher sums. To put simply, fraud. So this is speculative, but it makes sense because as I've said before, botting actually for orgs, or like, you might ask yourself, why would someone do this? Is it pure ego? Ego plays a role in this, but it's a marginal role. Okay. The real reason why people do this is because, to give you a little bit of background information, I've been on both sides of this. Like, I've literally sold inventory when I was at the Young Turks. It's not insecurity. Some people do it for insecurity, but a lot of people actually do it if they are doing it because for two primary reasons. One, Hasanabi, you are botted right now. Yes, That's why I have 21K viewers. So it's actually not it's not necessarily insecurity. It's not the biggest factor here. There's two reasons. Okay. Number one, Twitch is a very top heavy platform. So when you're at the top of the directory, whether with fake viewers or not, you all of a sudden get an influx of real viewers that come in as well. This is why being on the front page helps, right? When you're on the front page, you automatically get anyone who's clicking on twitch.tv and their views logged as one of your views, right? Like your viewership skyrockets when you go on the front page. And that artificial boost doesn't directly lead to people just like clicking onto your stream and like watching you and becoming a loyal fan or whatever. But that artificial boost alone puts you at the top of the directory. And that's usually how people, because there's no real like discovery function on Twitch, that's usually how people find content creators to watch. So you do get, through botting, through artificial boosting of your view count, through that artificial inflation, you do get a lot of real viewers as well. That's part of the reason why people do it. The other reason why people would do it is because you get paid for sponsorships off of your CCV, okay? Your live concurrent viewership. And your live concurrent viewership going up through that artificial boost means that you can actually demand higher pay for your sponsorships, because sponsorships are usually like an hour, 2 hours, right? Like gaming sponsors, things of that nature. So that is the other reason why XQC speculation here is not wrong. Isn't botting super expensive though? You're asking the wrong person. I don't even know how to arrive at like any of this shit. It's like I am too stupid to figure out how to hack, like to download like aimbot or whatever, and I'm too stupid to figure out how to do any of that stuff. Like when the sponsor botted Austin, Caroline, and Will to like 50K. So that wasn't actually botting. What that was something different. It's still an artificial boost of viewership, but it's not actually botting. So there's different kinds of ways that you can artificially inflate people's view counts. That was an embed. Okay. So it's technically, I mean, the impact is the same. You just have a bunch of people who aren't really watching you come across as though they are in the viewer count. But that's basically something that Fextra Life used to do all the time as well. If you went to Fextra Life's webpage, as I have a million times over, Fextra Life's Twitch channel was embedded. So anyone that clicked on Fextra Life to get like a Dark Souls walkthrough or whatever was technically being logged as a viewer on the Fextra Life Twitch streams. So that was an artificial boost. And so my speculation on the botting right now, imagine, is at an all-time low as mobile phone farms have become like 10 times more common and cheaper. Tabo! Yeah, so if you go on Fextra Life's Wikipedia, or the Fextra Life wikis, like you were technically a viewer of the Fextra Life live stream if they were live at the time. And so that's another way to artificially boost viewership, right? Those are different ways that you can do this. So basically, and I'm gonna do another blast off here. If you had 3 Viki tabs, that's like 3 more viewers. Yeah, the more tabs you had open, the more viewers you had. So I believe Steam embeds streams on store pages, which is similar, I think. Yeah, I think they do that as well. So in any case, that's another way to artificially boost it. And I think that's what was going on with like Caroline Will with that sponsorship stream. I think it was like through the Amazon directory, because I think like Amazon itself has like a mechanism of doing that embed, which is no different than being on the front page, basically. The front page viewership boost is similar to an embed. Okay, that's the best way to explain it. So anyway, why would orgs bot heavily? This doesn't seem like a problem for most people, but it's the silent killer. It kills the industry as a whole. It lowers discoverability for smaller streamers significantly and cuts down their income if they ever make it at all. I did some digging and shared findings with others and found egregious instances of streamers going from 100 viewers daily to 5,000 overnight. I was speechless when I noticed. Who wrote this? There is a 0% chance that Pepega Andy wrote this. It's got to be ChatGPT, bro. I can't get over it. This is like the thing that he cares about the most, okay? He cares about this so much. Holy fuck. Turns out when he locks in, he can actually be a coherent Andy. What the fuck? I find botting really interesting as I do a lot of server hosting myself and counter bots in Minecraft, but Twitch isn't very different. VPN companies are the reason it's so hard to counter, especially free VPNs that let companies route traffic through consumers' computers. Like, I don't think XQC knows what egregious means. Like, I've known this motherfucker for like, what, 8 years? And I've never heard him say egregious, okay? Where did he learn new words? XQC is smart and you know it, just the ADHD situation got him tweaking. He learns new words all the time. We're talking about like what, like a 28-year-old dude? Oh man. Maybe he did use egregious, dude, but I just didn't understand that he was using that word in the past, you know? This doesn't seem like a platform for most people, but it's a silent killer. Problem for most people. I did some digging. It was egregious. The worst part, a lot of recent streamers ended being sponsored. A lot of recent streams ended being sponsored. Awful. Here's an absolutely abysmal example of this. The fact that this can go on for years without the platform taking action is just sad, really. If Twitch doesn't care, why should anyone really? So, you have 5.7K viewers watching and you only get one new follower in that time frame. Like, it's pretty obvious that you just, you know, you spiked your viewership through bots at some point and you just kept it going, right? I'm waiting for all this speech to turn into, is this Hassan's fault? Normally that's the expectation, but in this one he won't say that, because like he might like to rip the fuck Hassan chord over and over again, but the reality is this is one issue where he knows, like, I don't even know how to do any of this shit, and he knows that I've never done it. So like, but it is interesting that like Twitch revealed that they were actually locking in on this stuff, and then people's view counts plummeted, you know? Also, the one of the methods of checking this, at least in the past, was like looking at active chatters, because there are people who are watching all the time without actually logging on. So they're inactive, right? So right now there's 22,000 people that are watching me. This is normal. If you look at my my viewership, I'm a older. I have content that like is specifically for an older audience, as opposed to the rest of the platform. On the weekends, I take a 10K nosedive because I'm just not like heavily covering news. There's not a lot of investment in something that's going on. But if you look at it, I have 22,000 people watching and 19,553 chatters. Now, I don't know. I've heard that people can even like fake having chatters as well. Like, not all bots are actually inactive or read as like inactive. So I don't know. Maybe there's like better bots out there who can even like through AI and LLM technology could like appear as real chatters as well, to type stuff in the chat and like spam emotes and stuff to make itself look real. But the reason why there's 19,000 chatters, but it's the 23,000 is the actual viewer count, is because that means that there's like around 4,000 people who are not logged in right now and are watching, and they can't even like say anything because they're just not logged in to the website, and that's normal. So anyway, but he's right. This is abysmal. This is pretty clear-cut sign of botting. A couple different things you can look at is like how many clips are taking place throughout your stream, how many new followers you're getting throughout a stream, how many, how much chatting is taking place throughout your stream. That's him looking at your stats and saying you don't bot.
I don't think Hassan is padded that much. I think Hassan's usually shit on that. That's pretty good. That's if anything, it's actually better.
Yeah. My ratio for active users to viewership is higher than the average. If you recall, who was it? Like a while back, there were some people who were trying to claim. A while back, there were some people who were trying to claim that I was like botting or something. Who was it? It was like Yoxic or something. One of those like blue checkmark accounts that was like trying to fucking farm, and it was actually the exact opposite. Like, it literally showed that my community had a much higher active viewership rate than any other streamer. Yours is pretty consistent. It makes sense for a news and political content streamer. Yeah, it's like Monday through Friday, or especially when like a big event is taking place, like a world-changing event is taking place, my viewership is either consistent or skyrockets. On the weekends, when I do less news-focused coverage and the adults are just like doing weekend shit, then my view counts obviously plummet. But that's just consistent. It's not like, you know, I'm botting it during the week and then not botting on the weekends or some shit. Because if I was botting during the week, I would just keep botting on the weekends as well. But make no mistake, XQC's talking about this stuff, but like, let's be real. I don't know if he's being, I don't know if he's like talked about Kick here or talked about Rumble, but like other platforms do it far worse than Twitch does. This isn't to say that like, you know, Twitch gets to do it as well. I'm not making that argument as someone who only suffers as a consequence of other people botting. I of course am in favor of no botting, clearly. Having said that, the reality of the matter is it's not even comparable how much worse this problem is on other platforms as opposed to Twitch, which is part of the reason why I thought it's not even real. A Twitch bot embedding detector extension has been released and is currently showing Hasanabi with a 78% bot detection. Yoksik is using half of a Caseytron tweet that accurately shows 78.3% of Hasanabi's viewers are individual logged-in chatters in order to intentionally misinform readers. Here's the original tweet. Yeah. That means 80% real viewers. Hasan has other stuff to criticize about, but not his stream discipline. They've been saying you're botted because of this. True. Yeah. Who cares? Lamau, people need to grow up. What are the negative consequences of bots other than misleading numbers? So the negative consequences of why would Twitch put energy towards this? Wouldn't it be more beneficial for them to claim the extra engagement to ad companies? Yes. But I think, I guess like they just don't want it to be fake, because the big problem here for revenue generation is like, if you are known as like, if your metrics are known to be fake in the industry, then all of a sudden you're going to get like a 20% pay cut from advertisers. So it's important. It's important for Twitch to, at the very least, like keep up appearances as like a premier website that advertisers want to advertise at, so their inventory is more valuable. They can also potentially even get sued down the line. Like Kick doesn't care, because I don't think Kick has a lot of advertisers. Kick is funded entirely by Stake, and Stake is a money printing operation, so they don't really give a shit. That's why they have like, for smaller streamers, they can like actually give a lot of money out just to simply stream on the platform. Whereas you can't really do that for Twitch. Like Twitch is an organic, real, serious Amazon subsidiary live streaming platform. You can't really fucking keep botting. You are right that bots are an internet war. Anubis, the anti-AI web channel. Okay, calm down. Yeah, it's like the cleaner fish sneaking bites off a fish they're supposed to clean. You need a correction mechanism so the faith in the arrangement doesn't dissipate. Yeah. The post and thread will go nowhere. No one will care either. But if I didn't post about it, I'd be mad at myself. I didn't at least try to raise some form of awareness about this before it's too late. I'm going to bed. In a few days, people will go back to calling me schizo over this. Why the hell would Twitch alert streamers that this was happening ahead of time? Some of the most botted people simply have gone live in the last few days because they haven't gone live because it'll expose them. If it's proven these people are botting themselves, it's likely that they're sending fake. What is this? Is likely that they are sending fake stats to sponsors, which constitutes fraud and should be investigated. What is this? The fact that NMP knew ahead of time when the crackdowns was going to happen should sound all the alarms. Why would anyone on the inside communicate this is beyond me. If it defeats the very purpose, clearly we're still missing a few pieces from the puzzle. I've been complaining about viewbotting behind the scenes for almost a year. Ask questions, brother Felix, and you will find the answers. Why did XQC turn into Elizabeth Warren? This is just something that he cares about. This is like, that's it. He just like genuinely cares about it. And he obviously, as one of the like, XQC was a top dog on this platform for like almost a fucking decade. So he is very knowledgeable about like the inner workings of Twitch and the inner workings of live streaming in general. This is his thing. This is something that he knows about. Now, part of the reason why I think he cares about it a little bit maybe is, you know, it doesn't hurt that he's also on Kick. And Kick is known as a platform that bots like crazy. And he is one of the guys who is a Kick guy. So it's both a real interest that he has, for sure. I'm not discounting that at all, but it also, you know, it doesn't hurt that he's like taking shots at like a market competitor. You feel me? One of the few things XG cares about is authenticity. That's why he likes Trump. He falsely assumes Trump is being truthful about the things he says. No, I think that's just stupid. Like if he loved authenticity, he would have never fucking cynically lied about how inauthentic I am to his audience over and over again. Like, I don't think he gives a shit about authenticity that much. There are certain things he does give a shit about. Anyway, Twitch's crackdown on viewbotting is intensified significantly over the last 48 hours. Many top 5,000 streamers are experiencing the lowest performing CCV streams of 2025. Site-wide viewership is down 5 to 22% depending on the hour compared to the previous week. Says Zach Boosie. It's too overreaching. Now it's not counting lurkers, which is most of my audience. I'm small. A quick look doesn't show anything out of the ordinary for a smaller creator. 1 to 5 CCV is the toughest pit to get out of because the counting in that range isn't great, never has been. You are likely not being impacted by Twitch's viewbotting change, though. So, yeah, had there been any news about Twitch not allowing people to watch on PS5? No, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. But yeah, that's the botting drama, the botting saga. If you want to know, like, I mean, there are a lot of content creators that just like basically went from much higher average viewership to much higher average viewership overall to like much, a significant viewer decline. And it's funny because you acknowledge when you were being botted after it happened, but your actual viewership now is basically untouched. Yeah. If you remember, there was like a weird time. I've been botted, or at least I've noticed that I've been botted. I think like twice or 3 times. One was famously when I was in Japan, not the last time, but the time before then, where I was just like always at like 30 to 40K, which was weird because like at that time, I know at that time zone when I'm streaming and I'm not doing like political commentary, I would usually have around 20K. So that was one of the times that I remember, and I immediately called it out. I was like, this is most likely like someone botting me, someone view botting me. And the other time was like, if you remember, there was like massive spikes where like Asmongold would dip from like 70K to like 30K, and then I would spike up to like 80K to 100K. And that was like a weird moment. It was just like go back and forth, and I don't know what the fuck that was. But overall, that time it was an EROP viewer trolling. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, it's just, do you think this is a permanent fix, or will the bot network make a comeback? I think it will make a comeback. I think they will. Because these guys are coders. They're programmers. They're hackers. They're selling a service, right, that clearly a lot of streamers want to use, and a lot of marketing agencies also rely on. So I suspect that they will inevitably find an exploit, even with like the additional protection that Twitch has implemented. They'll always find a workaround. Yeah, just like ad blockers. So it's always an arms race, basically. So it's a constant battle, and so there will be ups and downs, I guess. But it's for the time being, it does seem like at least some of the more notorious botters have been dealt with. Train explaining how they work. Motherfuckers are journalists now. That's what I'm saying. If this is real and you've done this right, you're about to realize 80% of your top 100 new generation English-speaking streamers are botting 50% or more of their viewership. First, they manufacture false hype, and then they hide it behind collaborative events that make the view count appear to make sense to the general public or other real streamers. They're hoping to pull real audiences from that don't understand basic viewership dynamics or analytics. Now, understand that this technique has worked and has appeared to successfully create many new generation streamers' careers, but it has taken away and takes away opportunity, discoverability, and money from real hardworking streamers who do not bot and will never see the mid-level or top of Twitch in today's highly inflated climate. View botters lock themselves in the top spots in the directory and create clicks in an attempt to monopolize the section, not with any real growth or size, but with who they will view bot next to further fortify the delusion that they or their click have any real weight or clout behind their own view counts. It's become a dystopian lottery system ran by view botters who think because they bring an outside celebrity or athlete who couldn't pull 200 real viewers on their own stream will somehow add 50K viewers into theirs. That's also not correct, because I do think that, like, if I were to have, like, I'll give you a great example of this. Like, if Ben and Jerry's Ben Cohen streamed on his own, he'd get 3 viewers. But when he's streaming with me, there are people who are interested about that back and forth dynamic, so they will tune in specifically for that. So that's not necessarily the correct interpretation here. Like, it's not Like I have Vanilla Mace coming on. I have Phase Adapt coming on later. That doesn't mean that like Vanilla Mace's average concurrent viewers are immediately going to come in here. I don't think that Adapt's average concurrent viewers are all going to come in here as well. So like, that's not how that works. It's not a one-to-one. I think that that's like, I don't know. Or if they collaborate with 10 other streamers who are all streaming the exact same POV, that somehow they will all have 30 to 50K each. It never has and will never work that way. But viewbotters don't know this. They are frauds that don't have real, natural, ground-up viewership. So they will never understand how real viewership or its dynamics work. They are all just attempting to imitate numbers they can't and don't understand. Everyone who knows live audience streaming works knows that TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and outside fame in almost all instances does not directly translate to live active audience one-to-one. It is far less. Except there are obviously clear-cut examples of this working. Vanilla Mace is a great example of this working organically. She blew up on TikTok. Now she has a robust live viewership audience. Queso blew up on TikTok. Now he has a robust live viewership audience. I was literally watching him last night. I don't even watch Twitch like that, okay? I was watching motherfucking Queso last night, and I found out his dog's name is also Kaya, which is very cute. And I also saw this like roulette game that he was playing, and it was just good vibes overall. Anyway, Jinxie is another great example of this, where he blew up outside of Twitch, and it translated to a real large audience. Like, so there is a clip meta, and I would say that a lot of the FaZe content creators, like the new generation of FaZe content creators, whether it be Jason, whether it be Ron, those guys have actually pumped clips in the same technique and have been able to generate real large audiences. Bro, a bot wrote this. You really expect me to believe Train has the patience to sit there and write this essay? Absolutely. Absolutely. This exists on all platforms, but has gone the most unchecked on Twitch. When it's obvious who is botting and who is not, the problem isn't bad. But when you can no longer tell who is bullshitting and who is not, that's when you know the problem is at its worst. Important. Keep in mind, I suspect there are streamers who don't even know they are being botted because they themselves have been fooled by the tactics I've talked about above and are being botted by their managers, agencies, or orgs who then turn around and sell that same manipulated data to sponsors and advertisers. Crazy part is, it's the small, mid-sized creators who get fucked the hardest. These large streamers have driven out hundreds of millions of dollars from multi-billion-dollar companies. Okay, he's exaggerating how much money they farmed. That's crazy. From multi-billion-dollar companies that have fully pulled out their marketing space. If you're going at bot for the appearance of having clout, please stop accepting sponsorships. You're fucking everyone else over. Real large creators bring in hundreds of millions of dollars in deals to each respective platform because their own personal deals result in the expected amount of conversions from their real high viewership. However, for viewbotters, this is not the case. Viewbotters who inflate their viewership by 50% or more do not meet conversion requirements that justify the high pay based on the provided inflated numbers. This then results in the companies exiting the space and blaming the space. So viewbotters are literally robbing the entire industry. Yeah, this part is not wrong. So there is obviously a conversion number that advertisers are looking for. Like when they do these like ads, you have a chat bot that will pump out like a link. You'll have a panel, right? And the goal is to see what the click-through rate looks like. And there's a percentage. But if that percentage is like supposed to be, let's say 10%, right? For every 1,000 viewers, like 100 viewers are clicking on the link, which is super high, by the way. That's not how this works at all. But if you actually have 1,000 viewers, there's only 10 people clicking, but you actually have now with bots 10,000 viewers or 2,000 viewers, and still only 10 people are clicking because you actually have a 10% click-through rate, which would be huge, obviously. It would be immense for a CTR. I know. I'm just using this as simple maths, chatter. Calm down. Yes, that's not a real fucking click-through rate. That'd be unimaginably high. Then your click-through rate actually, in their mind, has gone down to 5%. And their expectation is a 10% click-through rate, but you're only giving them 5% click-through rate, right? So then they go, oh, maybe Twitch as a platform is no longer as viable for advertising. So either they lower their ad rates, their CPMs, cost per mil, cost per 1,000 viewership, or they just pull out altogether. Anyway, this happens because when viewbotters accept sponsors, they aren't giving the real viewership. They're instead giving their inflated bot viewership, and bot viewership doesn't convert because they aren't real people. So companies unknowingly pay for the product to be advertised to be fake viewers, blah, 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 blah. It's true. There is truth to this. That's it.